He joins us now live from London. Ollie, good to see you. So more and more of the British public and businesses in particular are preparing for a hard Brexit. Are attempts to find an alternative still deadlocked?
Yes, that's right. The legal default at the moment remains a no-deal Brexit. That's what happens if Britain doesn't reach a deal with the European Union that can get through Parliament between now and March the 29th. So clearly businesses and the general public alike and the government are preparing more and more for that no-deal scenario. Theresa May has a deal on the table that's been rejected by Parliament. She's trying to win changes to that deal that can get it through Parliament, but as yet no sign of budging from the European Union in terms of amending the deal that they had already agreed with her. So you're quite right that we are as we were. The default scenario remains no deal unless something shifts between now and then. And there are attempts by parliamentarians to block a no-deal Brexit, but again, they would have to get some kind of alternative plan through Parliament or a delay to the process through Parliament to mean that the no-deal scenario is avoided.
Now, Sony and Dyson are the latest to say that they are moving their headquarters, but they seem to be a bit reluctant to state the obvious, which of course is Brexit is a factor. Why is that?
Brexit is certainly a factor, but the reasons stated by the two companies are very different indeed. Sony is making it very clear that it is moving its headquarters from the UK to the Netherlands because of Brexit, but Sony's being very clear that it's doing so because it's worried about the customs rules and changes that may come as a result of Brexit. But what it's also saying is that it will not affect the fact that its major operations in terms of Europe will remain here in the UK, and it says it doesn't believe that staffing will be impacted here. So it's really an operational issue in terms of the where the headquarters are technically based, rather than shifting its entire operation to the European mainland. Dyson is a slightly different issue. Dyson insists it is not moving because of Brexit. It insists it's moving because its manufacturing operations are now in Asia. The majority of its customers are now in Asia, and it says that is a trend that's likely to continue as it gets into the business of electric vehicles. But of course, the fact that James Dyson, the owner of the company, the founder, the brains behind many of their products, has long been a backer of Brexit, it's being pointed out by some of his critics who say he is being slightly hypocritical by taking Dyson away from the UK at a time when he's been saying that Brexit will lead Britain towards these sunlit uplands and a better trading future. It's also being pointed out that the Singaporeans, where Dyson will be based in future, have recently signed a trade deal with the European Union. Guess who? And so it's being pointed out that Dyson will now enjoy some of the benefits of that EU trade deal that they wouldn't have done had they stayed in the UK.
Now, many firms have made contingency plans such as scheduling shutdowns to coincide with Brexit. Have they explained how these plans will actually help?
Well, what a lot of firms say is that there's just uncertainty about supply chains, and they can't guarantee how they're going to keep things moving if a no-deal Brexit takes place. And actually even some firms are saying they're not entirely sure how Brexit is going to look under some of the plans that are being proposed by the government. So with regards to the automotive industry, for example, the car makers that have bases and factories here in the UK rely a huge amount on bits and pieces of cars, the parts, moving back and forth around the European Union and doing so easily and quickly. So if those supply chains are disrupted by Brexit, then they say it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to work out how to get things back on track. So many of those car firms, for example, are saying we're going to pause production for a period until we know what is going on, because while it's a cliche, it's true that uncertainty is the worst thing for businesses when it comes to planning. They need to know what the rules and regulations and the trading system and the haulage system and the freight system are going to look like after Brexit takes place before they can make final decisions. So essentially they're saying we're finding it difficult to commit to future decisions until we know exactly what the future reality is going to look like.
Makes sense, but is business actually voicing its concerns? What are they urging government to do?
Well, what business appears to mainly want is certainty. So they're saying, look, pass some kind of deal, agree some kind of arrangement that can get through the House of Commons so that at least we know what kind of environment we're going to be trading in. Now, leading up to this point, there have been all sorts of arguments in either direction from the business community, some saying it should be a hard Brexit, some saying it should be a much softer Brexit, some saying the UK should stay aligned with the European Union's single market, others saying the customs union is the most important thing. All of that, in a sense, has become less relevant in terms of those arguments. What businesses are now saying, look, if we're getting out of the European Union, tell us how. If we're not, tell us that we're staying in. And if it's a no-deal Brexit scenario, tell us that too, so that we can make some decisions about planning in the months and years to come.
All right. Those concerns make a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Ollie Barrett, talking to us there live from London.